Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Daily D. Today's topic is the term delegation. Now, delegation comes from the root word of delegate, and to delegate is to transfer responsibility of something, a task, a chore, a job, if you will. Now, many people strive to be very good delegators. In fact, in most business people, entrepreneurs, managers, leaders, want to delegate things. That's kind of the ideal situation for most leaders. Now, some people don't like it because, well, obviously, if you delegate something, that means you lose control in some respect. Not control of the outcome, because as a leader, if you understand that delegation correctly, you could delegate something and still control the outcome. But most people fear the lack of control. Sometimes I feel that way. I don't like to delegate things some days because they can't do it as good as me. They're not as going to be as talented as me, or they don't have the skill sets, or they don't have the knowledge, or whatever. There's always a reason. But I'm here to tell you that delegation is one of the things that I think that if done correctly, you can be very successful in anything that you do. Because, well, if you get to delegate, right? If I could say, hey, you take on this challenge this task rather that I usually do, and somebody can do it, even if they could do it 80% as good as me, it's better than me doing it. Now, here's the trap, though, and this is the trap of delegation, is really what I want to talk about. So many of us would like to delegate things. So if you're a parent, you want to delegate the chores, washing the dishes, folding the clothes, washing clothes, cleaning the garage, going outside, mopping, sweeping. We want to delegate these things, right? Assign these as chores to our children, to our significant other. And the reason that we want to do that is because, well, to be honest with you, most things that we delegate are things we don't like doing. Because if we really liked or loved doing them, we probably wouldn't delegate, right? You just wouldn't do it because you'd say, well, I really enjoy this task, so why would I delegate it? So when you don't like something, you typically want to delegate it. And managers, if you're a manager of a business, you may want to delegate certain chores that you don't like doing, like cleaning the restroom or mopping the floor, or maybe you want to delegate the hard stuff that you don't like making phone calls or sending out the emails or following up with customers. You see, these are the things that I believe we think in our minds. I want to delegate this. I want to delegate that. I want to do this. I wish somebody would do this for me, right? I want to delegate somebody to mow my yard. That's a good delegation. So the trap of delegation, though, is that when we delegate as leaders, as managers, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, whatever your title is, when you delegate something, you have now transferred that responsibility. Now, the trap here is that you feel like you gave the responsibility, and based on the outcome of that delegation, right, it's not yours anymore. So whatever the outcome is, it's not yours. So if I say, hey, make 20 phone calls for me, this is my store manager, and I make these 20 phone calls, and if they don't do it, it's on them because I delegated it. The honest trap here is that that's not true. When I delegate something, if it was once my responsibility and I'm still responsible for the outcome, but yet I delegated, it's still my responsibility to make sure they get it done. So one thing I learned a long time ago when I was beginning in business, I always learned that you should inspect, the word inspect, right, to check what you expect, the expectation. And if you don't do that, quite often what happens is the delegation really doesn't work, because the person who's being delegated the task probably doesn't like it either, and may not, to be truthful, may not do it properly. And that responsibility still falls on you. All right, so here's the last trap of delegation. And this is the one thing I think that we don't think about, which is when you delegate, you typically think, well, that frees up time for me. That frees up something I was doing and I don't have to do anymore. And that is true. The challenge is it doesn't give you free time. You see, I don't believe as a business owner, an entrepreneur, that's who I am, I don't believe I delegate so that I can have free time, so I can go play golf, or so I can go out and, drink or something. That's not what I do. I delegate so that I can do the things that I'm really good at. I want to laser focus, if you will, at the things that I'm super good at. So for an example, I really love the marketing part of my business. I truly enjoy that. I think if I could just focus on marketing and all day to attract the new customers, the retention of current customers, the development of that platform, if you will, I would do that all day. The challenge is I'm the CEO of two major companies, and on a daily basis, I got to monitor financials. I got to monitor people. I got to monitor the sales. I got to monitor. I mean, there's so many things, right? Everything gets delegated to me in some respects, right? Anything goes wrong, a pipe breaks in an office, a water main breaks down the street, and I don't have water in a store, that's my responsibility. If if we don't have printer paper, that's my responsibility. Now, that doesn't mean I handle those directly, but whatever happens in my business, I'm still responsible for because it's still my business. So I have to make sure it gets done. Now, I could delegate those tasks all day, which I do now, but at the least, I must inspect those things, and I must understand that if I'm going to delegate, it's not so that I can goof off. It's not so I can just go and do whatever I want. If you're a manager and you're delegating tasks in the store, it's because you're going to focus on something that's more important. For an example, if you're a manager, you would say, well, I'm going to focus on new sales, and you, my team member, you're going to focus on customer retention. That's your job. Customer retention, my customer's acquisition. Retention, acquisition, retention, acquisition. That would be an example. Or if I'm a parent, I would say, you know what, son, you're old enough, you mow the grass, right? You start mowing the grass, and now I'm going to focus on something that's really important to our household, our budget. I'm going to work on our financials. I'm going to learn more about that. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to take a class. I'm going to do that because you're going to do that. You see, I use the time that I'm saving by delegating to focus on something either I'm really good at or something I need my attention, that needs my attention. So don't fall into the trap of thinking delegation is a way to get free time or a way to relieve responsibility. Responsibility still falls on the person that was delegated it initially or who has responsibility initially. And free time doesn't just come out of nowhere. You've got to use the time that you delegate to use towards something that's productive, something that's important, and something probably that you're good at. So I hope this helps you in the world of delegation. If you have any questions, please hit me up. I wish you nothing but wealth, success, health, and most importantly, freedom. Thanks, guys.